Why did you want to get a chunk of this game if you didn't enjoy playing it? All right. A lot of people I know have told me this is one of their favorite games. A lot of people have told me this is one of the best games ever made. A lot of people have told me this is a masterpiece. A lot of people have told me this. And I played 60 hours of this game. And I got to the end of chapter 2 with 60 hours of playtime. And in that 60 hours of playtime, I could agree that it was graphically massive and amazing. And the scope of the game was grandiose and intimidating for a completionist like myself. However, for me, I don't mind slow builds. I enjoy slow builds. I have the patience for that. I am familiar with that. I can appreciate that when that is done. But I will tell you, playing Red Dead 2, the characters feel two-dimensional. They feel like generic characters with one or two unique traits to them to make them pop out into a third dimension. Right? Charles, reserved, good hunter, head on his shoulders. Micah, abrasive, good shooter. Bill, loudmouth, braggart, hothead. Uncle, drunk, always. So they each person had one or two traits. I don't feel they were filled out as a 3D character. But putting them all together in a pot and having them bounce off each other gives the illusion of depth to the entire world and these characters. I can see that. I can accept that because of how large of an ensemble cast this is. My issue is with the main character. Arthur Morgan is an empty shell. There is nothing to him. I feel no emotion from him. I feel no heart. I feel no care. I feel that he's just going through the motions. When I was playing Red Dead 2, I felt like Arthur Morgan was this generic entity that I would get into to be able to interact with the world around me. I equated it to Fallout Power Armor, where you put yourself in it to then interact around it. Arthur himself, I feel, is very two-dimensional and non-committal in a lot of things, and he's just there. He just exists as a method for me to interact with all these other individuals, pinballing off each other and the world around them. And I compare this against Red Dead 1. For those of you that have played it, and those of you that haven't played it, I won't spoil anything, but the main character of Red Dead 1 is John Marston. And I feel that the way Red Dead 1 is presented to you, there is so much more depth and character and design to John to make him a human being. While Arthur, to me, is more of just a vessel and something that allows me to jump into this world and interact with the world through Arthur, but I don't feel Arthur is a person. So after 60 hours and 7 streams, I stopped playing the game because that's how I felt. However, since then, still, everybody keeps telling me, Gabe, this is the greatest game. Gabe, it's gonna blow your mind, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, all right, okay, I'm listening to you all. I will give this a second chance. I will give this another opportunity. I so happen to have a couple of weeks off for the holidays. Let me give 3 really long streams, 10 to 12 hour long streams, get back into this game, give it a second chance, and really see what the deal is. And in doing this, stripping away all of the world exploration, do everything completionist stuff that really bogs me down, and just focus on the story to see if the story can stick. And that's what we're doing right now during the holiday, is me playing this a couple more times, getting a good chunk of the game into my system to give it a good second try to see really what is the issue I have with this game and if it can be fixed the further I get into the game. That's why we're doing this. Does that make sense to all of you? Thank you, Witchy. Of course. I just wanted to explain. I'm not a hater. I'm not saying I hate this game. I'm not trying to be a shithead and hate this game. I've still been playing, right? And loyal, yes, not every game is for every person. I know you are, Scouter. But this is me giving another game that everyone a lot of people love, that true second chance as objectively as possible to get a feel for what's going on and see what the deal is. Because I love Westerns. Red Dead Redemption 1 is my third favorite game of all time. I've been playing games since 1986. And Red Dead 1 is my third favorite game ever, of every game I've ever played. I love Red Dead. I love Westerns. So obviously you would assume Red Dead 2 is an easy fucking home run. But it's not. And I have to figure out why. I can only see through your thoughts on Arthur. For me, it seems like one of them characters people like to project themselves onto rather than the character himself shining through. Yeah. Arthur is projection as opposed to independence. I should try out someday. I should only play Red Dead 2. And you might love Red Dead 2 more than 1. I loved 1 so much. I wonder, though, if the fact that Arthur was really just an empty vessel, chasing after Dutch, Micah, but never a good or even just a person by the end. Until then, he was just a vessel doing whatever and said in order to do in any event. He was just nothing till it was too late. Yeah, the way this is right now, anytime Arthur is ingratiated into a conversation in world as to what's going on, what does he do? He is non-committal. Anytime someone brings up anything, he's like, "Oh, it's all right. It's Dutch doing Dutch's thing." He's never stating something emphatically for or against. He's just riding that pine in between. And I feel that's so fucking boring. I think the problem is Red Dead 1, John, had a full story and motivation. You're going along with that story in a slightly more linear fashion, whereas 2, Arthur is more ambiguous by design, so that you can decide for yourself what his intentions are, whether he's a bad or good guy, or if he loves the crew or hates them. Makes you project your own character onto him. That's true, Krem. However, you've been seeing me play now. I'm playing good. I'm being positive. I greet everybody in camp. I don't antagonize them. I'm always doing chores. I'm doing nice things for everybody. But even then, I don't feel the needle switching much. There's not much. He's still kind of just there. His positivity towards the other individuals in his camp isn't changing anything. And at the end of the day, when big decisions come down or big discussions come down, Arthur's still just on the fence of, oh, no, no, no. It is the way it is. That's our nature. When you should have this agency of choice and your actions actually skewing the story towards these things. It's not doing that. Yeah, maybe you're right. It's something he said a few yeah. It's exactly that. That's what gets me, is the fact that I'm so far into this, and for some of you who say so far, ha ha ha, but I'm so far into the story right now, and he's still, even though I'm doing good things, he's still so indifferent and non-committal towards everything. I'm like, why? What is this character? What's going on here? If he's supposed to be a vessel, an extension of me, I'm making actions, do something with them. I will say, though, as sort of a playable outside view on John's story and background is pretty good. Okay, I'm fine with that. I completely get what you're saying. That's my biggest concern. He's just there. He's just there reacting to things, and at the end of the day, making sure everyone else is like, oh, well, all right, I guess so, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no. Every other character in, pardon me, every other character in camp is for or against. You know where they stand. Some are antagonistic towards people, some are not. But they're there. You don't have wishy-washy shit. The only wishy-washy one is Arthur, and he's supposed to be the main goddamn character. Yes, Krim, you're right. I get to decide that. But I've put in how many hours now deciding that, making my decisions, and still, if there's non-committal stuff going on after the fact, like, come on. Here's the thing. Am I looking at this wrong? Everyone else sees it different than me. What the fuck? What am I missing? Is my analysis incorrect because the game is incomplete? Sorry, I'm getting a little louder than usual. It's just, that's the frustration I'm having, is that I'm not getting any of this. Wonder, could someone play a bunch of games that make an impact and finally start something like this and feel nothing? I don't know. He's a video game version of that one guy everyone knows who will agree with the person they're talking to at the moment and then to whoever else they speak to, right? Felt like Arthur was just there sometimes. The game is a phenomenal game. You can tell how much love and detail they put into this. Everything is fantastic, except for the main character. Everything is fantastic about this game except for the main character. I don't care what happens to Arthur because he hasn't left an impact on me because of decisions he's made. He's towed the line on everything and he's just gone with it. No, maybe you're right. Every time. If he's just sitting there towing the line, being milquetoast about it all, why am I going to give a fuck about him? I know, Scoter. I think Arthur also deliberately masks a lot of his opinions and true feelings because he's attempting not to ruffle any feathers. Because he sees, at least in the gang, when someone sticks their neck out with a big opinion, they often get slapped down. He was raised in that kind of environment from the time he was young, and doesn't like to take hard stances until he's forced to because he wants to be on everybody's good side, except for Uncle and Micah. I see that, Erudito. If that's the way the message is supposed to be, if that's how the game is supposed to go, and that's how he's just the rock amongst the stream of everything else until he makes his final decision, that's a narrative choice they can have. And I accept that. That's not a narrative choice that ingratiates me towards the character, though. Regardless if you share the same thoughts in the game as me, it's still interesting to hear your thoughts. Well, thank you, Kyler. Maybe you're right. I'm not trying to sway anyone else's opinion. I'm just wanting you to understand how I'm seeing it. If Erudito is right, and he's there not to ruffle feathers, he's there to toe the line and make everybody stay the line until he makes his decision later on in a narrative twist, cool. That's his story. I see what they're doing, fine. However, for me as a player, that I'm not invested in Arthur as a character because of that. You have those little interstitials where it's just like orange, hazy pictures of wilderness, and he's having these little narrations about future or getting out or whatever. Okay, that's adding something to it. It's just not enough for me. I also wonder whether all the positive reviews regarding the size of the world and the world building in GTA 5 push Rockstar to focus a lot on the world outside of the main character. Listen, Chicken, a lot of people love Arthur as a main character. A lot of people love Arthur as a main character. But kind of like what Krim alluded to earlier about the linearity of a character, because John had a more linear story, he was more defined in his wants and desires. And that made him more of a character to me than the non-linearity of this. Also, in Red Dead 1, John was actionary. Arthur in this one is reactionary. And that might play a role into it as well. But as it stands right now, I'm playing this game. I'm enjoying the game. If I wasn't enjoying the game, I wouldn't be playing it, right? I'm not going to force myself to play something I don't like. I'm enjoying playing the game. I think the weakest part of the game is Arthur. And the other characters in the ensemble cast are fine. Like earlier on, John asked me what were my thoughts about Sean dying. And I thought, I don't have any thoughts. It doesn't matter. And John made a good point about explaining John's story and his past and what he was trying to do. And I said, that's great, but I didn't see that. I didn't get that from my playthrough. All these secondary characters, they're there. I've always seen him as a vessel for the person I've been playing him. I've never really felt much from Arthur himself. For me, it's definitely a game for me where I prefer to watch someone play them play. And that's fine, chicken. That's fine, dude. That's perfectly acceptable. That's no problem at all. But for me, playing as Arthur's like a lot of Rockstar main characters in large open world games. Also, the side characters large and outlandish. I can see that, yeah. The stuff you're looking for is seen more in some of the side missions where he's interacting with people outside of the gang. It's not a majority of the game, though, unfortunately. And that's fine, Herman. That's the way they wanted to present him. You think I'm 100% correct right now? I'm just stating my opinion, small town. You know that. I'm not trying to. So would you say that John was in the driver's seat of one, which made him more investing, while Arthur is more in the passenger seat and Dutch is the driver's seat? If so, I can totally see your issue. Dutch in the driver's seat? Dutch's reaction, actually, no, Dutch is driving a lot of the stupidity and wrongness. So, yeah, I would say Arthur is more passenger seat, reacting to Dutch. But even when it's quote unquote reacting, it's not reacting. It's just calming down and going with. There's no reacting and bouncing off of Dutch. It's just there. Something I really like about 2 is how much it enhances Bill and Javier for me. In 1, Bill is just a loud, rough asshole. And 2, Bill I think is really interesting because you see that a lot of his issues come from a sense of inadequacy. He fears being stupid in a gang that praises Dutch's intelligence. He fears being unskilled in a gang that praises Arthur for always getting it done. And he fears being seen as a washed up as younger than men like John and Sean rise through the ranks. Discovering that part of the fear stems from his own family history of dementia, and realizing the subsequent worry that he's doomed to deteriorate motivates a massive part of why he's so gung-ho and forceful about wanting to get the bag ASAP. Adds so much, in my opinion. I'm fine with that, Mia. You gave me a great reason why Bill is a fantastic character in these games. He's more of a fantastic character to me than Arthur. And that's part of it right there. Right there. Also, why should I care about all the bad things that happened to the gang when they brought all the bad stuff to their own doorstep? You can watch. There's some enjoyment in watching that happen, and watching the Pyrrhic victories of these people, and seeing them slowly fall apart because of their own hubris and their own perspective on things. That's a narrative. That's a narrative element that happens in a lot of stories. That's no different. It might not be your type. I don't want to crack open Arthur's Ark until you get more into it. Bill seems more accessible. That's fine, Mia. I'm in the middle of chapter 4, and right now Arthur is just an empty thing. No, in in Red Dead 1, there's Arthur is not mentioned, period, at all. No name, no nothing. He doesn't exist in Red Dead 1. What I was trying to say is basically I agree with you right now about Arthur just being there. For me, Arthur really shows up. All right, then I guess I'll look forward to that. Arthur didn't exist back when Red Dead 1 came out. Arthur was a thing created for Red Dead 2. Thank you for that insight, by the way, Mia. Anyway, that's why I'm doing this replay right now, or continued play. I am aware. Listen, I'm a member of Sky's community. I'm a member of Queen Tofu's community. Both of them are huge fans of Red Dead 2. Both of them have played it. Both of their communities are incredibly passionate about the game. As a moderator for Queen Tofu's community and as someone who reads everything in Sky's community, I have been spoiled with almost every major element of this game. I don't wish for us to talk about that because I still want it to be as fresh as possible, but I already know what happens in the game. And playing Red Dead 1 already gives me an idea even more of what happens in this game. But with that said, I still want to be as blind to it. He knows bullet point plot points, basically how people react and stuff. Yeah, I know the big things that happen. Right, Tanner. Most of the gang was created for this game. There's like Bill, Javier, and Dutch, and that's it in 1. That is the correct statement. I can definitely see how there's not even that lasting connection to Arthur then as well. Right. So anyway, to make a very long answer short, honey, that's why I'm playing this game again. because I want to see what everyone else sees, because everyone else loves this game. Well, not everyone, you know what I mean. The majority of people I know love this game and hold it up as greatness. And my first attempt, I didn't see that. The second attempt right now, I'm hoping to see that, but I'm currently not, for all the reasons I've just expounded upon you all. I'm wanting to see that. I'm wanting to feel that. And in the second playthrough, I'm cutting away all the chaff. I'm cutting away all the completionist, go collect all the herbs, go find all the animals, go do all the special challenges, and just focusing on the stories, the main story and the mission stories. The white missions and the yellow missions. I'm just focusing on those completely because that encompasses the characters, not just going out and spending 4 hours trying to find a perfect pelt, right? I'm not doing that. I'm just doing this. And I'm hoping through these playthroughs, I find that spark that everyone else has found as to why this is so fantastic. But if I am 4 chapters in on this game, and I'm sitting at what, 80 hours now? And I'm still trying to look for a reason why I give a shit about Arthur Morgan, that's a problem. Either it's a problem with me not being able to see it, or it's a problem with the game not giving it to me. That's all right, Mia. There's one more Red Dead stream on the 2nd. I'll be streaming for 12 hours. Also, I think 2 is pretty much to flush out backstory of John, showing you where he gets his morals from. So Arthur is the unseen part of John, and 1 who helped mold. Yeah, I think that's part of it too, Donk. I'm cognizant enough of this game to know that. And because I'm aware of spoilers and stuff, I'm aware of John in this game as well. You don't think my opinion will change even with a full playthrough? It might not, IMI, but I'm trying to give it a fair attempt, right? I want to be able to do a fair attempt, so when I come back to these communities and these chats, and when people bring up the game and I state my opinion, they understand where I'm coming from, and it wasn't just a 20-hour attempt and then bail. And me putting in a significant amount of time into this game and then coming back with an opinion. So yeah, I might not change my opinion, but at least I have enough weight behind me so when we have a